Rebel Devs Podcast, a show that challenges conventional thinking in the tech industry. Each episode features conversations with solutionists who have taken unconventional approaches to problem solving, pushing the boundaries of what's possible in their respective fields. Join the devolution.
Hey, Rebel Devs. We're here today with myself, Tom May, Jonah May, as always, ready to bring some chaos to this world. And we're joined with Rick Vanover from Veeam. So welcome, gents. And now we're going to talk about the spiciness side. This is where we get to know Rick Vanover. When I talked to you, I was like, I get to see Rickatron all the time, and I see you on the stage and talking in webinar. But I want that other side, that cool part that the listeners or viewers get to see and go, hey, man, this is the guy we want to know beyond the presence. So I know you can't shut off something as awesome as that, Rick, but let's peek in a little bit deeper. Let's see. And I've said spice so many times. Take it away, dude. What do you got for us?
So, a lot of times people ask, what's, your hobby and your, the things you like to do on the side. And one of the a lot of people say, well, I love to travel. I like art. No. I have a very specific one. I really, with all caps underlined, bold and blinking, really like making spice blends. And it's a funny story, Tom and Jonah. I want to say it was like 2011 or maybe it was 2009. I can't remember. I guess it was before I joined Veeam, so probably 2009. My wife and I take a vacation, just us, every year. And one year we went to New Mexico, Santa Fe area. And I saw this gentleman sitting on the back of a truck selling these bags of chili peppers. And Evie was his name. And I walk up to Evie and I'm like, what's this? He says, chili peppers. And I'm like, oh, cool. What do you do with it? He goes, you grind it and you change your life. And I'm like, what? So I bought a bunch of these. They were dried hatch chilies, and I bought a bunch of chipotle chilies and all kinds of other chilies. And it changed my life. And so I started getting into making my own chili powder, making my own spice blends. I don't know if anybody watching this likes Indian food. I make my own Indian garam masala. And my Indian friends are telling me I'm more Indian than their mother when I'm doing this type of stuff. And so I bought a commercial spice grinder, and I'm having some fun with that thing. And I make all kinds of stuff. I go to the Mexican markets. Evie still sells them to me by mail. Got to pay. And he has to make sure the check cashes, and then he'll send it to me. But, yeah, I love me some chili peppers.
I've got to ask. You said commercial spice grinder. Yeah. I guess I naturally assumed there were spice grinders, but what makes a commercial over a standard besides you spent more money? Like, what am I getting for this?
I think it's speed and size of the cup. All right. Now, when I say commercial, don't let that overwhelm you. Don't think I'm reallocating the garage or something. This is still something that fits in a cabinet, but it's very durable. I've had this thing for since 2009. I had to replace a cup once. I broke one of the little cups because if you've ever seen a coffee bean grinder, it's real similar to that. And it basically takes and goes a lot finer than coffee grinds. So in the U.S., if you were to buy traditional bag coffee or ground coffee, unless you're buying some razzle dazzle stuff, I'd like to say it has about the same size as sand. Okay. The spice grinder that I can rock out in Cucina Rickatron will come out about the consistency of flour, like a bag of, all-purpose flour. And so, and then whole things like chili peppers, black peppercorns. I get into fenugreek when I do Indian stuff and all of that. And then actually they'll make sausage blends with fennel and anise, and then I make Italian sausage and things like that. That's the one thing my daughter, who went vegetarian, said, if I start making that at home, she might come back off the vegetarian boat for that homemade sausage, because that's the one thing she misses the most, But it's a gizmo about that big, and it's It's outstanding, and it makes all the difference in the world.
I kind of get this picture of you during COVID of just like being bored out of your mind and spicing forever and filling the garage with tons of spices or
What it was, yeah. And actually, funny story. Every other Friday night, I live in Central Ohio, and in Central Ohio at the Children's Hospital here in town, we have the largest Ronald McDonald House in the world, actually. And it's a very big operation there. And it's a very big children's hospital, too. But like some cities have 2 children's hospitals, we only have 1, and that's probably why it's so big. But anyways, every other Friday night, I volunteer there serving dinner to the guests, the patients, the families, etc. And then this last week, there was a doctor who is in a program where she will be practicing here for a year, and she's visiting from India. And I just hit it off good with her, talking about making garam masala and all the different things. And she has guilted me in, Tom, to start posting back on Instagram everything I cook. So the hashtag Cucina Riccatron, Kitchen Riccatron in Spanish is what that means. I'm going to start putting that back on my personal Instagram. And I was showing her my creations, and she's like, this is amazing. You got to really go on with that. But yeah, so for those watching, hopefully I can get back into it with Cucina Riccatron, Indian food or not. I just put everything in there.
Has it changed your life? Because you said this would change your life.
Yeah, you know what? It does, Tom. Actually, it's kind of crazy because like I would sometimes, actually a lot of times, much rather prefer a meal cooked at home because I can control the flavor exactly the way I want it. And I've always had I don't want to say bionic, but like an elevated sense of smell and taste. And so when I can get into manipulating these things at the level I like take Italian sausage, if you think about a pizza or a pasta dish that, in the US people, it's a pretty common flavor. I can actually take the things I like, fennel and anise, and like amplify those higher, double and triple that, and also amplify the garlic, which I also like, and then maybe mute the paprika, which is another key ingredient there. And you can like create these things. And I'm just looking at my old creations. I'm like, those were so good. And I never take pictures of all these things, which I should, which I make some incredible things. And when I travel for my wife, I actually make her these little dinner, just like reheatables, basically, all custom things. I'm like, what do you want this week? And so, this last week on my trip, she had chicken enchilada bake, real simple one, right? But sometimes I've made ho fun noodles from Hong Kong. I've made her, let's see, what the heck was that thing? That was a taco salad, and then homemade meatballs and pasta, chicken enchilada soup. Can't go wrong with me, man. It's good.
Wow, that is just astronomically awesome. It's funny that you hit all that, just because my wife and I were sitting down to eat the other night, and we've always been big keto eaters for a couple years, and we've been like hardcore keto. We've been like net keto, and then we've been like falling off the bandwagon keto, which is kind of where we are right now. And we go to these restaurants and we're just like, all right, we're so busy, let's eat. And it's actually gotten to the point where, despite my laziness, I'm kind of with you. I'm like, I think the food at home is just getting to be better quality because you can dial it in. Like, I used to love Chili's made like a Alfredo spicy pasta, and I was like, this is great. And nowadays, I'm like, nah, they're really missing the mark, and it's not so hard to whip up an Alfredo with some pasta, spice it up some. So I guess I can see where you are, but I know Jonah loves to cook in there too. So doesn't get it from me, folks. Like, I am, burned food and microwavable. I'll be a foodie if I can go eat somewhere. Growing up by the Culinary Institute in New York, like, we had places to get really good food when we were out. But at home, probably not. Maybe, Jonah, that's why you became a good cook, because you were like, I'm tired of eating this swill.
I don't know. I mean, I was going to say I do love to cook, but unfortunately, I kind of take from you in a little bit that I don't cook nearly as often as I should between eating out or pre-made meals, which the last couple weeks especially, I've been working to change, in part because, yes, once I get up and I cook, I really enjoy it. But also, just like you said, just the last however long that I've tried to go out and eat, even the places that used to be amazing, a lot of them just aren't hitting the mark anymore. Like I've had people visit from out of town that I've taken them to what used to be the staples of eating out, even semi-fancy, and it just was not good. And equally so, it's just getting so expensive too.
Yeah, and like then I'm getting creative. Again, the Rictionary. So one of my favorite go-tos, everybody can try this. It's called the Rick McMuffin, okay? Scrambled egg, cheddar cheese, tomato. So it goes, and you build it muffin, egg, tomato, cheese, muffin. And then dip it in like salsa if you want to go crazy. But the Rick McMuffin, I could do that all day, man. Just tomato, egg, and cheese, man. It's so good.
I've done the chaffle thing. Have you ever done that? Chaffles? Because we'll get into keto a little bit. This is where you take an egg and a cheese and you whip it all up and you put it on a waffle iron and you make little waffles out of it and use that instead of bread out there if you're hardcore.
That would be cool, especially with like, I could like really put in like some of the chili powder. Actually, you know what would go good in that would be my fajita seasoning with some cornstarch as a emulsifier in that. Okay. I'm down with that.
Yeah, no, they're pretty wicked. I got into them with keto because you're like, I can't have bread. And then you start whipping things in there and you're like, wait, this substance has flavor better than bread. And let me tell you, it is potent because there's so much protein in there. You're just eating a crazy amount in just a little amount of food. And next thing you know, you're at lunch and you're like, I don't even know if I need lunch. Like, why is this? Because most of my days are fueled off of coffee and hatred, but you sprinkle in a chaffle in there and I can really run to like 3 o'clock before I start getting hangry.
Yeah, you can even like chop up some sausage or bacon, maybe both, and put it in there too.
Ah, yes. Amazingness. All right. Well, hey, we got to see a little bit more of Rickatron here and learn about spiciness in there. And I'm curious to try some of these things. Your Italian sausage, like if you're ever bored and you have too much Italian sausage, like that is the cat's meow for me, man. Like I dig, like it's so sad. I dig it so much that I can't make it, but I drive around to different butchers and shops and grocery stores here in Texas, and I'm like, who's got the best Italian sausage? So, you know, if any extra popped up somewhere frozen and landed on my doorstep, I wouldn't cry. I'm just saying. And
you can make it. Just Google Alton Brown's Italian sausage recipe. That's my starter. And then you can add more. The one that's on Food Network, I should say, by the way, his Italian sausage recipe. If you have one of those stand mixers, get the meat grinder attachment. Buy a whole. Go to Costco or membership club of your choice and buy a whole big thing of pork or chicken. You can do this, by the way. Grind and let it chop it. Put the herbs in first, let it sit overnight or something, and then grind it, and then grind it again. It's the secret trick, by the way, and reseason. You'll be all good in the hood.
Oh, man. So here's something that's cool being in Texas. I didn't know because I've been here about 20 years or so. But I married my second wife, and she grew up a little more country than I ever could coming from New York. But we will actually choose a cow to be raised on a farm. And they'll bulk this thing up and they'll say, like, how do you want it to be? Lean, fatty, what flavor do you want? They choose their food while it's on the farm, and it's way more economical. Like, we can get just a year's worth of meat for about $1,000. And when I say meat, I mean fillets and just steaks and what thickness. And man, I'll tell you, I'm really starting to dig that too. But you can do the same thing with pork and chicken. I mean, everybody around here, even in more urban areas, are starting to have a lot of these animals. I've noticed it's crazy. So our food quality, I'm with you. I think grocery stores ruin it, and I think cooking it. So I'm going to try that Alton Brown's Italian sausage. I'm going to make some butcher give me pork, and then I'm going to double grind it, spice it, and whip it up. So I'm excited, man.
You can get good meat at the stores. You just got to go to the right stores. You pay more for it. But I grew up doing that too. We raised our own cattle, and I remember distinctly one time. It's funny, when I was a teenager, my mom would have me pick up the meat. They would drive it up in the truck, and I would just pick it up in the car. My car didn't have air con, but I filled the car with all these like frozen pieces of meat. And driving home, it was basically air con in the car. But they had like scribbled out, I guess it would be choice and then they hand wrote on the paper Prime, because this cow came out Prime, even though they didn't stamp it as Prime, because they would have had to charge us more than what we already agreed on. But that meat is by far that's the best.
No,
Yeah, I've started
absolutely.
using one of the services that will take the meat directly from the farm and send it to your doorstep. And it does 3 or 4 different types every 2 weeks, even seafood. So I'll get like some bacon, some Italian sausage, couple different types of beef, some ground bison. Interestingly, made some burgers with that for the first time last week. A whole chicken, some bacon, if I haven't already said that, shrimp, salmon.
No such thing as too much bacon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I feel like Bubba and Forrest Gump. I'm like maple, honey maple, regular. Like, what's my bacon here? Where's my bacon smorgasbord in there? So.
Well, it all works out well for me because, I'm the strongest on a grill, and most of that is stuff you would typically grill. So there you go.
I don't know. I got flambe going on. I can burn it like the rest of them. But hey, guys, this has been awesome getting to know you both a little bit more. Rick, thanks for coming on today and spending some time teaching us about spice. It's been awesome. Jonah and I are actually about to hop to Phoenix because we have a very important business trip. And by business trip, I mean the Foo Fighters are playing. So we're flying out to go catch Foo Fighters in a new arena because we follow them around. If some people are into the Grateful Dead, we're into the Foo Fighters. And they'll be outdoors. So we're either going to have the most epic experience ever in 98-degree heat in Phoenix outside, or we're going to die a horrible death, and this will be our last podcast. It'll be played in post-mortem. So we're going to get jet setting. But Rick, thanks for joining us today. And Jonah, it's a pleasure as always. And I'm going to play us out, folks. Let's dance it away if that's your thing, or just stare and blink like everybody else.
Whether you're a seasoned solutionist or just starting out, the Rebel Devs podcast is a must listen. So join us. Comment, share, and subscribe. Be part of the Rebel Devs.